Hey, what up, YouTube family? It is me again, back with another video. Today's gonna be about sexual escalation. I like calling it seduction because I feel like that's very misleading, especially with the idea of you can get somebody to do something that they don't want. It's more like escalation, like you're taking your time, you're stepping into it. And my last two videos were about the steps before, which is basically opening somebody, getting to know them and getting them comfortable, and introducing yourself so that they feel like they have a sense of who you are. And this one is about sexual escalation. So it's more of an intimate, more of a comfort thing. And if you want to think of it, you could think of it as this actually. When you first meet somebody, the first like bridge that's crossed after like getting to know them for a while is trust. And after trust, you can build a little bit of comfort with that person so they're like more understanding of like who you are and what you're about. And then it's intimacy. Intimacy is the last barrier you will cross with a person so that they can feel like they really like know you, because there's no deeper like knowing of somebody than getting intimate with them. That's like the final frontier. So yeah, with that being said, it's just like in a funnel or anything else within life, guys. The most hardest or trickiest things are mostly in the beginning, and the better you do those few things that are in the beginning, the easier job or whatever it is you're trying to do becomes later on. So like I said, it's more of an escalation thing. So you want the mindset around this is you want to take your time and step into it. Like think of it like you're not, what most people do, they mess up with is they start thinking that like, oh, I gotta just go all commit to it, or I gotta test the waters. You never want to test the waters. You more so want to like take your time with it. So like, let's say you're going into a pool, you put your foot in, and then you're not testing it, but you're actually just putting your foot in, get your body acclimated to the new temperature, and you put your other foot in. Then you get your hip in there, and once your hip is in, then you're fully committed, and then you can go all in and start swimming. So that's what it's gonna be like. And the biggest challenge that people face with this is that they don't have the right mindset. They're more like stuck and trapped in the thought of, oh my God, it's like putting all the chips on the table. I don't know if this person's going to accept me or what'll happen next. And if I do this wrong, then everything's going to be fucked up. And it makes sense because that's normally what happens if you don't know what you're doing. You don't understand the natural progression of something. So hitting it from the top is the approach, being comfortable, having the right vibe. What's more important than knowing what to say a lot of times is knowing what not to say, especially with this intimate part, because it's really about building comfort with somebody. But anyway, let's hop right into it. So the way you go into this kind of conversation without just jumping into it is just like what I said earlier. Once you master this one thing, that'll help out with every area of your life. Talking about sales, being a better person, and being able to control conversations and situations to literally whatever you want it to be. And the number one skill I want to give people before we even talk about any like seductive sexual topics are justifications. Because if you can justify that what you're saying is either necessary or makes sense, you have free reign to talk about or do whatever you want in most cases. So I'll give you a quick example. When you're at work, what's the most like obvious things that you shouldn't be talking about, shouldn't be spoken about? And it's inappropriate behavior, which is basically things that are in private, like politics, religion, or obviously sex. But obviously there's always like sex jokes that happens in the office, and it's because it's justifiable. So that's not what this video is about, but I'll make a video going deeper on how to like transition correctly. But so what you want to do with this situation is you want to make it obvious that sex is the next thing to talk about, or justify it coming up. And you can do that in a lot of ways, but in this video I'm going to show you two ways. One is misinterpretation, which is basically taking somebody what they're not saying and making a joke out of it so they are saying it. Two is insinuating stuff, purposely but playfully. So the way you get people to do things is first getting them comfortable with it, and laughter is a form of comfort that they can start accepting things. Something I heard yesterday that I also want to put in this video is people get caught up too much, way too much, on trying to change the mind of another individual. You can't. And if you feel like you are just doing conversations and stuff like that, A lot of times it's manipulation, and that's something that doesn't last for long. What you want to do from now on instead is stop trying to change people's mind and start trying to change their emotions about how they feel about something. You can only do that by first looking to understand them, by literally shutting up. Like I said again, like limiting the access you have to your frontal neocortex and just going to mammalian brain, just hearing them out. And literally just like shutting up, stopping all thoughts. And you'll know you're listening to somebody, or you know the other person is like listening to you when after they're done talking, it's like there's a pause in the conversation so that your brain can start going again. But with that being said, my bad, I keep pausing. I'm in New York, so I don't know if you guys ever been here, but it gets really loud randomly. But yeah, so your job is to never rush through the process. This part is a part that like guys or even women love the most, but it's tricky because it's like when you're excited for something, you almost throw all the resources to that one part and you skip over the foundation, the building blocks. So if you try to just build the second floor of a house because that's the most fun, lavish room, you're gonna miss over the foundation, which is the basement, and you're gonna miss over the first floor, which is what people mostly come to see. And that first floor, the foundation you could think of as the basement just needs to have structure, so how you meet people, how you consistently do it. The first floor you could think of is as like your personality and externally what shows to people. And then the second floor, like I said, where all the fun is, that's a lot of times where like the bedroom is, the second living room, or like sometimes people just have cool shit on the top floor of their house. That is like the seduction part. So you want to make sure the first two are grounded in first. But anyway, get into the good part, right? So I'm gonna make another video just building like on the topics of like just giving like a lot of scenarios and examples, but follow me for the mindset and the understanding what's gonna happen here, right? So you're talking to somebody in transition, or like once you see their comforts there, what you want to do is start slowing down your talking, your phrase, your speeches, how you're saying things. You're going from, oh yeah, this is what I love and that's who I am and I'm passionate about that. Your personality is fine, but this part you want to start slowing down a bit and holding like longer eye contact, and then you can start making jokes that are gonna start hitting differently. So instead of just having jokes that are super topical, superficial, that's like happy-go-lucky, their jokes are gonna be more. I'll do you guys one even better. So there was a time where I was talking to this one female friend, and sometimes it's nerve-wracking, like getting into a transition. So I'll give you guys this one gem of how you can do it to make it easier on both people. Indirect sexual conversations are the best because there's no judgment, there's no pressure because you're talking about somebody else, not you, and you get to have honest feedback on what that person thinks about that situation. So normally, I guess if you want to put like a time frame and everything, I would say 15 minutes. I'd go into transitioning, and then I'll start talking about other people in their relationships. So, or like what I think that person is. So I'll go into a bar, I'll sit there, I'll turn around, be like, let's play a game. Cool. If the person I'm talking to is cool as shit, which normally they are, or else I wouldn't be there for 15 minutes. They're like, sure. And I would say, I'll point out a couple, and I'll be like, tell me what's going on there. She'll give her own read, and I've been studying this stuff for like 10 years. So I'll just like, okay, cool, I think that's right, or I think this is like, could be getting a correction. And then I'll be like, okay, what kind of sex do you think you're having? And I'll give like a super like funny ass joke. I'll be like, it'd be like a skinny guy and like a bigger girl. It'll be like, I can't say it in the video. I'll give like a super ass like funny joke, and I'll pick a couple that's just like that stands out the most, and it'll be like, yeah, so she takes over everything, and I'll be like, so he does all the work, and she just sits there like a starfish. I bet they have starfish love because he's like super athletic, so you can tell he just like likes to go all in and all hard. And she just lays there and she just does nothing. And I'd be like, oh my God, like if I have sex with another girl that just lays there and does nothing, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And that would be that's my favorite conversation because that's something like I personally experienced. And I think it's super fucking funny. And that also gives me a tip in of like, if that's something that she is, Because, some people will have that guilty laugh, like, oh my God, yeah, I hate that too, hoo hoo hoo. Or some people will be like, yo, like, that's trash, that's horrible, I can't believe that, did that happen to you? And then you can even use that to gauge her, like, you can even use that to gauge her interest in you. Because if that's funny or something that's interesting, she's gonna ask. And there's no pressure, and you can see how comfortable she is. So you can also use that as like a gauge or metric of conversation. And then as you do this more, you start seeing more things that are more easy to use. You'll become more, there'll be more alignment with like knowing what you could do. You'll have more clarity on like different things to say. So this is always going to be the underlying theme of like every video I make for you guys. Do what's uncomfortable until it becomes comfortable, and then do more of what's uncomfortable, then it makes it easier for you. And then as that happens, you're going to start tweaking things, and then things are going to stop happening for you, and then it just starts another circle, another circle, another circle. There's this thing I was watching, or I think I knew of a chart when I was younger, and it's basically like a pyramid. So it's like you start from something, learn something new, and then you experiment, and then you go too far off and you recalibrate to the beginning, and that's like stage one, and it goes up and up and up and up until you get to level of mastery. So that's what it's like in this stage. And like I said, the biggest trap is people get so excited about the stage, they skip over everything else and you just love to be here. And funny enough, this transition is like the trickiest, but it's the fastest. And once you have it done, then leverage is always going to be in your favor. And in the part after this, just not fucking it up, which I will get to in my next video. Okay, and one more thing. The homework for today's video is go look up flirty lines, right? And if you're a higher quality person or guy, like you should have some female friends that are your friends but like aren't sexual. You don't mean to have sex with them, but use these lines with them and see what works, see what doesn't work. Use it about 10 times, period. Whether it's the same person or different person. And let me know how that works for you. So remember what I said, you're gonna use the justifier before you start flirting though. So you're gonna justifiably create a reason why you're gonna say what you're gonna say. And then you're gonna use the line on that person. Or even better, use verbatim what I said of talking about that person's relationship and what you don't like, what you hate. And then see if that person slowly starts qualifying to you. There's ways you can make a person qualify to you, and there's ways to see if a person is ready to start qualifying and what to do with it from there. But that's for today's homework. Practice this 10 times today, and to see how it goes from there.